Look, if you're trying to build an SMMA to 10, 20, 30, 40, even 50K a month, you need to know how to sell. Because if you don't know how to sell, but you know how to get appointments or get people to book calls with you, you will always struggle. And so I tell you this story to illustrate the fact that even if you know how to book meetings and your calendar's filling up, but you're not closing deals, you need to work on your sales. So the goal of this video is to give you the best SMMA training that you're gonna need to be able to close deals quite easily. You know, what I'm going to show you is how I personally, for my agency, was signing 3 to 8 clients a week, flooding us with work. And that's a good problem to have, and I want you to have that problem. So just the other week, with one of my students, Harry, I decided that I was going to review one of his sales calls live on a coaching call. Now, for context, Harry actually closed this deal. So even though he closed the deal with this client, I wanted to take a deep dive to show him what I personally would have done differently, so that next time he has a call, and for his next 10 calls, that his close rate is higher. If you were to take 100 sales calls in the next year, if you're pretty new to this and you've not done this for years, you'll probably close between 10 to 20%. So you'll sign 10 to 20 clients. With the right training, we can take a 10 to 20% close rate to 30, 35, maybe 40%. So without booking any more meetings, without having more appointment setters, you could literally 2x your business by just being able to sell better. I'll preface this by saying I'm no master salesperson. In my agency, we signed over 355 clients, but to others who have been in sales for 20 years, I'm still very much new. But assuming that you have had less clients than me, hopefully I can share some stuff today that will give you real tangible things that you can use. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna play the recorded call with Harry, and you'll see what I do is I watch his call and I pause it after every minute to 2 minutes, and I give him feedback on what he's doing. You know, that's why we do what we do, because when we get you incremental gains, you get massive results. So let's watch it.
And just when I saw this, it was particularly interesting, right? Because I've worked in the real estate niche and I've worked in like marketing. So when I first saw your website, I was like, if they've genuinely cracked the code of being able to get vendor leads, like that is always what everyone wants. And then I saw your revenue per month. I was like, yeah, makes sense. Yeah. that product genuinely sells itself if you get it in the right hands. And smart that you're also then cutting the middleman instead of going through the resellers. You're saying, right, let's just get these people directly. They're probably going to get it from you cheaper, and you can still probably increase your rate as well because you haven't got that margin of the person in between the reseller as well.
You know what's interesting? Actually, in this industry, you kind of need both.
Okay, solid. Harry, you probably did this unknowingly, but you just stroked the hell out of his ego, right? Like he's like, you've just basically regurgitated back in layman's terms what he's just said, which is like, you understand the business, but you also understand his genius, which obviously he's going to see that as a good thing. So nice little touch there, man.
You kind of need these lead resellers who have a lot of coverage. Yeah. Because if I'm running a campaign, let's say you only want like 2 counties in LA, well, what happens if
you got all this excess?
Yeah. Well, you need both, but yeah, that's the point ultimately.
And then you also mentioned something I hadn't seen on your profile and description around. You want someone who can do the cold outreach as well. So you almost want like an appointment setter, or what's your?
Yeah. So actually we had quite a bit of success just doing automated outreach on LinkedIn. I was looking into it and I saw that like there's Instagram, like chatbots, and you could essentially create like.
Well, I want to highlight that as well, Harry, because I think a lot of people in this specific scenario where it's a warm lead from Upwork, and then the guy at the start has said, we're looking for a social media manager that can do X, Y, and Z. I think a lot of people, myself included in the early days, would just run with that and not really ask many more questions and just be like, yeah, amazing. I can do all of that. Like, let me show you how it works. Let me show you the packages. So the fact that you're digging deep here is good. I would highly recommend that you continue to do this, because by you asking those little questions, even though he didn't mention the outreach on here, right? He put it in the job post. You're showing that you actually read the job post. I'm sure a lot of people would skip over that and just tell them, yep, we can do that, we can do that, we can do that, but not actually trying to understand if they're a good fit for you, right? Because for a lot of people, the problem is their sales calls is them trying to sell, which is the business owner essentially vetting you. You want to be in the position to say, hey, I'm trying to see if we're a good fit. Not you're a good fit, I'm a good fit, but together that we can both actually benefit from this. So yeah, just wanted to highlight that one as well, man. Solid.
To that point, Adam, as well, it comes from paranoia of having nightmare clients in the past. That at this stage, I'm genuinely vetting them as well.
Good. It's a good position to be in, man.
Somewhat of an automated cadence where you could just upload lists of real estate investors who are on Instagram to kind of message. So I think the one thing we're mainly looking for is like this actual social media management. But if that person is also capable of just setting up like a cadence with, messaging people, that would be ideal.
Okay. Cool. I guess so. For full transparency, social media management is like that's our bread and butter and expertise.
Yeah.
Less expertise in the whole cold outreach piece. But I bring it up because it's something that I'm actually thinking of learning, developing, and probably testing on a few clients first before I like offer as a service. But that's why I asked for that. But social media management is where our real kind of key expertise is. Very
nice. What I would have done slightly differently here, Harry, was, so he mentioned, right, the main thing we want is the social media, and this other thing is something else we want. Okay, so he's ranking them in terms of priority. I would push him a little bit more on that, and I would push him more to get him to admit to you that his goal of today is to just find the social media manager, and that if the social media manager can't do the outreach, the appointment setting, cool, no problem. Because if in the back of his mind, it is a deal breaker, right? He just hasn't said it yet. And he's like, nah, I really do want someone that can do it. If you have then said, look, at the start of the call, we can't do it, you might shoot yourself in the foot. Obviously, that wasn't the case, but just for future calls, always dig as deep as you can before you start to give out, here's what we do, or this is what we don't do, to make sure that what you don't do isn't something that they want.
And how, just that's really good. I've just been taking notes. How would you kind of smoothly get him to say in his own words that social media management's the main thing I'm really after? Like, how would you kind of structure your questions?
Yeah, man, it could be as simple as, awesome, John. So in terms of those two things, the social media management and then potentially the appointment setting and the outreach, which one is the biggest priority right now? And now he's already answered that, right? But we want to just get him to go social media management. Cool. Got you. So John, we're figuring out today, we can try and work with you. And if you're a good fit to work with us. So if we can offer you that, the top priority, is that something that's good enough for you? Or are you looking for somebody that can do this, but also this? Just so we can get it like super boxed, ticked, clear as heck,
Yeah, I like that. Thank you. And let me share what I've gone through. I'll also share a little bit about how we work, and then we can take it from there if that works for you.
Yep.
Brilliant. All right.
Okay. What I would do here, Harris, I would dig deep more before we transition to this is what we do and this is how we do it. So the call is 22 minutes roughly. So about a quarter of the call in, we've done our deep dive and we've transitioned now to essentially pitch mode, which does work. Right. And obviously worked in this scenario. So it's not that you can't ever do this. I've done this on tons of calls, right? The best calls I've had, and for my salesperson now, the best calls he has are the calls where at least 10 minutes is deep dive, at least. Sometimes 15, sometimes 20 minutes. And so when you think of it, say from Sean's perspective, you've asked him a couple of questions, but there is also a lot that you haven't asked. Okay. So you haven't asked, what have you done on social media? Sean, you mentioned that you didn't need to do social media before, but now it's a priority because of the direct to consumer domain that you guys have and the business you're running there. What makes now like the best time for you guys to do that compared to paid ads, or email marketing, or something else? So getting him to get really clear on why now and why he needs this today, not tomorrow, not in 2 weeks. Okay. Just another example of some questions we could drop in is, one, what have you done on social media? We've done X, Y, and Z, that. Or we've done absolutely nothing. I would also then, because these guys have probably done nothing, as he said that, dig into who are they trying to be? What are they trying to replicate? Before I go and tell them this is what we do and we do it, right? Because if I know exactly what he's looking for, when I position my pitch, it's easier to give him the things that he actually wants. Because otherwise I'm going to pitch him everything, whereas he might want a very specific type of content. For example, we ask him, who do you want to model? He mentions, let's just say Grant Cardone. And then okay, awesome. I know Grant Cardone's content. I know what type of content he posts. It's going to be pretty easy for me to position that what we do. And I'm going to show him the clients that have content similar to Grant Cardone. Cool. So yeah, man, just a deeper dive. And again, it goes back to when you're approaching this from I'm trying to see if he's a good fit for us. You're the doctor, he's the patient. You need to ask more questions. right? You need to get even clearer on exactly what he wants.
Makes a lot of sense. Thanks.
No worries with it.
Let me share my screen. All right. Can you see that? So what I've done is just an audit of some of your online presence, which I appreciate.
That was real subtle. Some people probably didn't notice that, but you had the name of the guy on the presentation. Beautiful. Shows attention to detail. I like it.
Appreciate it in terms of like Instagram wise is limited at the moment. So what I've done more is focus on like what other people in your space are doing. Then I'll go into like how we work with people at the moment. So 100%.
Quick one here. So Harry, you have social media audit, which is an amazing thing to add into your call. But you asking, what have you done on social media, allows you to further position your audit. So for example, let's pull back 1 or 2 minutes and you're like, oh, Johnson, before I walk you through what we do, what have you guys tried with social media? And he starts to tell you what he's tried. And what you can do is you can frame that question as, what have you tried on social media? Because John, I'm going to give you a full audit during this call. I've got a full audit. It's going to take us 5 to 10 minutes. I'm going to walk you through exactly what I think you guys need to improve on. But what have you guys actually tried? Have you had any team members work on this? Have you worked on it yourself? Have you hired contractors, agency? Who has been involved? What have you guys done? And I'll show you what I think later.
My clients are busy business owners who they get the need for this, but just haven't got the scope to do it themselves. So we'll support you in actually showing you how exactly we do that. A little bit in terms of impact. And then lastly, some of the bundles I've put together and how we could potentially help you based on some of those aims of yours. So inspiration to take. I think you're in the benefit of real estate niche. It does lend itself to being a popular niche that can gain attention. Conscious that for you, that it would be, you won't just want followers for followers' sake. You want people who are potentially future buyers. But I think it's going to be a case of a funnel, right? Of vast majority just going to be curious about real estate, but by reaching them and gaining traction and getting that social proof, it will help you get a larger amount of the smaller percentage buyers. So I think the way I would approach this is just to kind of be popular and then let that kind of smaller percentage get higher as you bring in more people, if that makes sense. So some best practices I'm seeing.
Nice. I really like that point. That's a really good point to make, because a lot of guys will see some of the guys you're going to show now, right? Like this guy with 120K, this guy with 673, and they might be thinking in the back of their mind, yeah, but I don't want to be an influencer. I don't want to be famous. I just want leads. I just want money. So you basically crush that down before they can come to you and say that, because you've literally pre-framed what you're about to show them. So that was nice, man.
I'm sure you're probably familiar with some of these faces are kind of real kind of pinned posts or sharing key information. So I think I could imagine some of your pinned posts being about, how you've built such like a extensive database, how you are able to get in these kind of seller leads effectively, and so maybe some of the areas that you cover. I don't know how expansive you are. Is it all of US?
All of US.
All of US. Perfect. So you could talk about how you're all of US.
Cool. And that's just an example, Harry, of you adding more of a deep dive, but you're doing it throughout the call, which is fine. But again, it's easier when you get it all done at the front. So you got everything laid out, and just makes this presentation
that kind of database
easier.
you build over time. A little bit again about kind of who most gets value from you. So that's how I can see kind of deploying this method. And the reason why that's important is when people first come on board, not everyone's vast majority of people aren't going to scroll down to kind of see what you're about and what you offer. So like ensuring that you have those pinned posts so that regardless of what you share afterwards, people can quickly see and get up to speed with what you can share is super important. Same thing as well in terms of the covers, in terms of showing, perhaps it could be reviews, results made for people, maybe with you've managed to get seller leads that have resulted in deals and subsequent profits, kind of sharing those kind of case studies would be a nice way of like real bringing attention. I mean, I actually think that he's done an okay job here, but it could be a little bit better. My personal preference is to actually put like icons, because then that way it makes it even clearer about what these different things are. So for example, under properties, you put like an icon of a house, right? Under news would be like a newspaper. Yeah, I think it's just a lot cleaner. And then just kind of repurposed videos. So I don't know do you have much footage of the properties you have on offer or anything like that?
We don't have much.
Not so much.
We don't.
Yeah, that's fine. So what we could do then here is, these.
Nice. Again, that was good, right? You asked, nope, it's fine. You didn't even go into it. You didn't explain why you need it. You said, it's fine, cool, all good.
Kind of VIP, show me around things always do well. So I think how it could work for you if you don't have those in hand is just repurposing. You could do the things like, this is this mansion in LA with this beautiful view, would you live here, right? And then do it that way.
Would you be able then to repurpose the content and like provided, let's say, to us for approval?
Yes, absolutely. And then just around LinkedIn as well, you could.
Cool. On that one there, Harry, I would definitely give him a little bit more information about that process. So he asked about the repurposing with approval. So the approval, that I know is always a bit of a sticky point for some businesses, because they're like, yeah, we like this stuff, but we want to be able to give you feedback. We want to be able to request revisions.
So just crunch that out with him. Be like, yeah, cool. And what we used to do, Harry, is we just had a slide which basically showed the 5-step process of how content was made, which you might even have in here.
I do. It's not pretty, but I do cover it on my.
Hey, that's all good, man. That's all good. Sweet.
Just do some of that more aspirational stuff to build target audiences. And actually, I can imagine a lot of your target audiences would probably be on LinkedIn as well.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So you'd want to make sure that you have like a good presence there, and that also it's repurposed to fit in the vibe of LinkedIn, so that, you know, it resonates with the audience, because there are slight nuances, so it's important to kind of repurpose that as well. Any questions on what I've shared there?
No.
So in terms of you specifically, things that I've picked out is, I think, just getting that branding right. So it's, again, I appreciate it's all kind of brand new, but making sure that consistent aesthetic that you clearly spend time on your website comes through in your online presence, just to make you a lot more recognizable. Share your offer. I mean, this right here, like, this is a no-brainer. I don't know if you're familiar with like Alex Hormozy and that whole kind of stuff.
Yes.
But
I
this
read
is
a $1 million offer too.
classic, right? I think any person who takes this half seriously has read that book, right? If you in business, yeah, great book. And I think, yeah, this is a great offer. I think you probably get people trying to bite your hand off just seeing this, right? And probably your challenge here is probably overcoming people's skepticism. Would be my hunch, if I'm honest.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think you really talking about that network and why you're able to do what you do would really help kind of back that. And you could use your presence as a way, or your online presence as a way of showing that. So it could be like a carousel post of, you know, we know this is a big claim, and this is the underlying structure that allows us to do this.
I'm sure everybody else is thinking the same thing I'm thinking, which is, Harry, you're doing a fucking fantastic job on this call, man. No, truly, like, you're really demonstrating your expertise in a very chill, conversational, informal way. But everything you're saying, he's like, yeah. Okay, he's not the kind of, you know, hype guy that's going to be like, this is amazing. But you can tell he is loving what you're saying. Like the Alex Hormozy, that was very subtle, right? But anybody who takes this half seriously has read that book after he said that he's read the book. You know, again, that's such a small thing, but that's just going to make him go, yeah, this guy fucking knows the book. I've read the book. Amazing. It's, you know what I mean? You're ticking a lot of small boxes that, from my experience reviewing calls, a lot of people have to make a very conscious effort to drop this stuff in. You're doing it very chill, formal, casually, and it's working in treatment. So
then, yeah, I touched upon it earlier before. Just take advantage of, like, you know, this is the niche you're in, just lends itself to popularity, right? So I think just being really conscious that, yeah, vast majority of people are just going to be curious, but we have to kind of play that numbers game to get those interested people.
Also, the expertise, I just want to highlight that real quick. So, for example, you mentioned how he's got a no-brainer offer. You didn't just say we need to get the no-brainer offer out there, and that's all we need to do. You mentioned, again, further showing that you understand it truly, which is that, hey, I guess your biggest objection is this is too good to be true. It's the skepticism. And again, immediately he goes, yeah. He didn't even think about it, just boom, straight away. So little things like that are just throughout the call, just showing that, yeah, you're a guy that clearly doesn't just know social media. You understand marketing, sales, the whole funnel and how it all works.
And just using that to your advantage. So how we work with people, when you come on board, we make sure that clients fill in a profile form that shares, you know, who's your target audience, who are your competitors, what messages resonate really well. And we use that to create a form. And then when necessary, build a brand, but with your one, we'll just be basing off your website unless you said otherwise. And from there,
just on that one, Harry, I would clarify with him how that's done. So do you send the form to him and he fills it out? Do you guys fill it out together on a call? Again, these are just little things that normally the business owner is going to bring up to you at the end of the call as a doubt, as a question, as an objection. So let's just crush it and handle it while we go through it. It makes the process smoother.
This is someone trying to do it themselves, did not have the time nor particularly interested to do that. And we were able to just take that off our hands and say, right, whether it's testimonials, whether it's videos, whether it's posts, we're going to have that consistent polished theme that just makes you really kind of stand out and pop and be recognized for what you do.
So then you're working with an agency then, correct?
So I run the agency.
So you run the agency. So then I have somebody separate be like my dedicated like account rep, or would you be?
So it's both. So we're still small enough where I like to be involved.
Okay, cool.
So I'll still be there in the day-to-day, but you do also have a client manager as well.
Got you. Okay, cool.
And then this is how we do it, right? So this is the bread.
Nice. So that was all good, man. That was all good. Again, I would give a little bit more info. So you mentioned that you're still involved, but there'll also be a client manager or an account manager. Because he brought up that question, I imagine he might have some more questions on that later on. Or when he gets onboarded, he might have questions about it, right? So again, maybe we can just drop in a little bit more info of, I'll meet with you once a month on a call, or whatever that structure is. You'll meet your account manager every week. Just give him the clarity on that so that we can kind of, again, crush that. Yeah.
On that, it's my contact with my contacts. Well, my contacts, my contact with my clients is minimal. So it's probably at minimum like 2 messages a month, where it's literally, sometimes it's not even me, it's just my client manager saying, these are the content, are you ready for it? So instead, would I just spell that out in terms of the interaction? You have like an onboarding call, which will be with myself, and then from there on in, you have the monthly contact with predominantly my client manager for content, but I also step in ad hoc on basis when needed. That'd be a way to like frame it.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. You know, and it's hard to know, right? Because this guy, it sounds like, because he's asking the question, that he wants you to be involved, right? Because he probably wouldn't ask the question if he was happy if he never spoke to you again, right? That's probably his core desire there.
That was my hunch as well, I think, because I think when they speak to me and they can tell I get it, I think that fear is I just get handed over to someone else who doesn't get it as well, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. So yeah, the way you framed it there sounds good to me. You know, take the client you're most involved with and give that as the example of how involved you can be. Not I will, but I can do this, and this. And also just, you know, with the account manager, right? A doubt some people are going to have is exactly what you mentioned. Harry's the genius behind the business. Then there's an account manager who's, you know, so does okay, right? Like if he's worked with an agency, maybe that's his idea of what that's going to look like. So maybe we could sell that thing a bit more. Be like, oh yeah, but you know, even if I'm not on a call with you every week, you'll be in touch with my account manager who has calls with me every week. Right? Basically connecting the dots so that even if he's not in direct line with you, he knows that everything that the account manager is doing is going by you first, and it's, you know, true the strategy that you've laid out.
Bottom of it, it's just super simple Google sheet. We share, this is the captions, this is the links. You just tick and approve if you're happy with it, or you give us some slight notes and adjustments. Unlike other agencies, there's no limit on how much feedback you can give us. Like we'll take as many revisions to get it right. But typically, once we're in flow, it's like one revision, if that, as we just get a feel of what your preference is.
Well, amazing. You did the us versus them. Unlike other agencies, we do this, we go above and beyond. But then you also counteracted that to say, hey, we probably never even need to do more than 1 or 2 revisions because we're that good. So again, subtle things, but those little things make a big difference.
And then how we write like you. So I've got a whole segment on like the captions and the copywriting, because I think this is one of the most important pieces of, we want to make sure, you know, we sound like you and not someone you've paid to sound like you. So within that, we'll have, you know, who are people and sites that you think have authority in the space and you want to get inspiration from. What are those kind of, we can co-build a tone of voice guide. And I'm super open around my team's international, which means we can be quite competitive with our rates. But when it comes to the captions, that's always done by like an English native or myself. And it just means you get the best of both that way.
Gotcha.
And then from there, we schedule that all in, or in the first kind of, as we're ramping up, about 2 weeks. But once we're fully there, it's about 4 weeks in advance typically is our standard. And then what that allows us to do is share those monthly reports weekly upon request as well. And it just means we can like just do more of what's working and continue to iterate to just get that best results for you. This is just another branding example of someone that we did for our Australian contact of ours. And then these are the bundles I put together for you. So based on what you shared around, you know, really wanting to ramp up growth, kind of get increased reach.
Good, man. Just before you pivot to pitch of packages, pricing, etc., just on everything you've showed them so far, I'd ask for some buy-in. So, John, does that all make sense? Is there anything I've mentioned there, John, that you want more clarity on? John, is there anything I've mentioned there that, or John, is there something I haven't mentioned that you feel would be necessary for what you guys are trying to achieve in 2024? Just so we can, again, maybe he says, we need somebody that's great at doing hashtags, and that's a deal breaker for him. Well, cool. We can do hashtags, right?
I've put 2 options. Both of them will include the social media resource designer, the copywriter, project manager who's separate to myself. He more works in the background just to make sure that things are always posted on time. And then I myself as a marketing strategist am involved. And I've also realized I've missed out on one here, which is the client manager, but there you go. So you've got like a whole kind of ecosystem and team working on this to really make sure it goes to plan and gets those results you're after. And these are the 2 points I've put to you. So the difference between the 2 is one is a lot more heavier in terms of video. So with option B, you'd get 20 real videos a month and engagement across all those platforms. And
quick question, Harry. Is there any clients you have where they're like stand out in terms of results? Like whether that's followers, views, or leads or anything?
Yes, and I've just been lazy and haven't put it into a case study yet, which I need to do. So my list.
Okay. Yeah. That's all right. That's right. I would definitely put those in before you jump into this as well. All right. Because just as I'm watching it now, it's very heavy right now on features. Right. It's very heavy on you'll get a copywriter, project manager, social media manager, pricing. This is what it includes, right? It's a lot of like logical features and all of that.
On that though, now to think of it, I have a hidden slide that I do have results on. But the reason, and again, maybe I'm just too like I've been burnt in the past, I'm too paranoid. But what I've done before is when I've shared results of followers, for example, based on and at the time it wasn't even my own case study, it was like my social media manager's case study. That came back to bite me because they were like, oh, when I saw all this rapid follower growth case study that you showed me, I was then extra disappointed when I didn't receive it. So what I've intentionally done now is that I have it in the back burner. So if they ask for, and some of them do, can I see some results? It's like, cool, I pull out and I show the results. If they don't ask for it, I want the value add in their head to be, I just get the convenience and a very professional, slick, low effort social media presence. And this other bonus is just a nice add-on, but I'm not kind of banking on it. So that's why I've done it that way.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me, man. That makes sense. I think it'll definitely affect your close rate, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you're cool with the fact that you might close less deals, but every deal you do close hasn't been sold on any potential results and they've just been sold on, like you said, easy to work with, clean branding, etc., then that might be better. So yeah, keep it in mind, man. Keep it in mind. Again, it also kind of comes back to the importance of asking as many questions as we can and getting that deep dive, right? Because if earlier in the call, John had said, or John had just really focused on results, right? Like he really drilled in the fact that we need to get this number of leads, this is the follower count we want to get to. If he had mentioned all those things, then if we didn't present anything to say, hey, we can do that, he's probably going to be a bit doubtful. In this case, he hasn't, but we also haven't asked, really. You know, we haven't asked clear enough, I don't think so.
And how would you frame that? Again, just to soak up as much as I can.
In terms of the question?
Yeah, to see how result-oriented this specific person is.
Yeah, man, just as simple as you could do it at the very start. You could do it, for example, when you asked, tell you about your business, and he told you about the business. Like you could even drop it in right there of, John, fantastic. Love this, and this. You know, by the way, John, what's your goal of getting a social media manager? Like, what is the main goal? Because I have clients I work with that are in here to get X number of leads per month or a certain number of followers. And I have clients that just want somebody to handle social media in a very easy, stress-free manner. So just so we're clear, John, just so I can then make sure that I give you the info that you need based on what you want, where would you think you lie on that scale? You know, 1 being you just want it done easy, nice and clean, and 10 being if it doesn't get you X number of leads, you're not happy. Cool, but all good, man, all good.
And the other 8 would be either like graphics or like carousels. And then option A is a bit more video light. So that's like 1 video a week. And then the other ones are like carousels and posts. And then you have the direct rate. And then for Upwork, it's slightly higher just because they charge me a fee. I recently learned they charge you a fee as well, but you know, I guess they have a business to run.
I mean, I could also pay you through, hypothetically, if I were to move, I decided I wanted to move forward, would you accept, let's say on Wise? Like I work with a lot of guys I pay through Wise.
Yeah, I use Wise as well, actually.
I
find it super. Well, I use either Stripe or Wise, right? But I find
I haven't used Stripe, but yeah, same thing. So then to confirm then for, let's say, what's it called? Package A, it says 28 posts, 4 real videos and engagements. So can you break down the other 24? What other 24 posts?
So it would be, the other 24 would be things such as graphic designs, carousels, things such as things to look for when like exploring a home to buy, trends in how the US market's moving, things of that nature. So we try and make it informative, educational, and entertaining, but depending on, you know, how entertaining you want to be with your brand as well.
Okay. Let me see here. Can I take a screen?
Cool. Yeah, I would definitely add that in the breakdown. That's a really good question that guy's asked, which is a very logical question. Because even myself, when I looked at it, I was like, okay, 28 posts, but 4 real videos. So immediately I'm like, I actually don't know what that would be. So I think if you could break that down, man, on like here's a full list of 28 posts, 4 real videos, 24 from graphics, carousels, this, and this. And I would give examples. Like I would give graphic examples to be like 4 real videos, arrow pointing to examples of real videos, 24 graphics, and then examples of graphics, like different styles, all of that. Because again, we're as humans, we learn better when we see, and then if we can see and we can read it, fantastic. Double whammy.
Shot of this.
Yeah, I'll take a screenshot and I'll share.
You can just send it to me actually.
Yeah, I'll send this to you so you've got it to hand as well, like a summary.
Perfect. Okay. But I think those are predominantly the 4 channels that I want to target. I also think I'm also interested in having somebody run my own personal LinkedIn as well. Yep. So in addition to the business one. So I don't know if you'd be able to include.
Okay. Yeah, this is good, man. Right? Obviously, conversation's moving in the right way. When you pitched the price, you didn't say, hey, which package works best, but you didn't say, hey, what do you think? A lot of people panic and they go, what do you think about that? Is that something you can afford? So you just dropped it, which is the way I would recommend. Just drop the 2 packages. When you do drop it, how I would like to do it in this scenario is I'd like to walk them through the 2. Okay, so package A is this, and is this price. Package B is this. If one is more cost effective, I would outline that. For example, if package B is more expensive, but it's cheaper per post, I would make that very clear and be like, by the way, you get this saving on package B. Because we're doing more volume, we'll actually give you a discount of 10%, 5%. So John, really out of those packages, now we can just chat about if you have any questions about them. And then also, if there's a package you like more than the other, we can look at that. And then just kind of further bottle him down. But nice.
That in your service as well.
Yeah, we run LinkedIn too. And
with this one, Harry, I want you to think about this, right? So him saying, now, basically, I've got another opportunity for you. I've got my LinkedIn. That could be something that you guys handle. Do you think there'd be a way in which you could figure that out earlier in the call? So instead of him bringing it up, do you think there'd be a way for you to easily ask a question for him to bring that up earlier?
Yeah, probably around the point around when I'm asking about his aims for social media, just to add on, and would this just be for yourself personally or as the company, right?
Well, smooth, buttery smooth. Again, small thing, right? And obviously, this is a scenario where this worked. Your pitch worked, everything worked. But in a hypothetical, you can imagine if you knew at the start in 5 minutes, he also potentially wants his own personal LinkedIn done. Nice. Maybe when I'm giving him the packages, I can mention how I'm willing to give him a discount if he has extra pages besides just one. Or I'll talk about my client who I also manage LinkedIn for. It'll drop that in.
How much output would you want to do from that?
I don't know how much output I would really need in order to really, optimize, the posting on LinkedIn. Like, I don't know if I need to only do once a week, if I only need to do twice a week, but I don't really know. I figured you're the expert on it, not me.
Yeah, I'd say you'd want to do at least about 3 a week. I'd say it's like 10. All right, I'm just taking notes here. And then just to get your thoughts on this, was that kind of what you're looking for? Because again, I just based on some of that.
No, I really appreciate that you researched us in advance. That it sounds as if I like kind of the presentation. It all sounds very good to me. It sounds exactly like what we're looking for. And I'm guessing, obviously, assuming we were to start, I can kind of go through with you and show you our competitors, like our exact competitors. So maybe you can just get a little bit more inspiration with respect to how we want to differentiate ourselves from them, but kind of take also some of the good messaging that they have and exactly who they're targeting. So.
Cool. Another example, Harry, just something that we could have asked earlier. So he mentioned, I can give you my competitors, but that is a question that would work really nicely in the deep dive. Sean, who are some of your top competitors right now? Like, who's somebody you'd want to emulate on social media? Yeah. So again, then before he even gets time to say it, we've already asked that. He's like, these guys are on it, man. And nice, man, nice. Guys, just to give you an example, right? In this scenario, This as a close is like what I would call like a very chill close. You're not putting any pressure. You're just, do you have any thoughts? Do you have any feedback? Do you like the sound of this? Right. It's a very chill, pleasant scenario for both people involved. There's not really high pressure, which is good. Okay. On the flip side of that, the approach that used to work the best for me in terms of closing deals, not only just to close them on the phone, but just to get them to move to a decision, whether it's yes or no, was something like this. So when you give them the packages, okay, John, this is package A, da-di-da-di-da. This is package B. John, if it suits you, because we still have about 5 minutes left on the call, I can walk you through the next steps if you like. There's no pressure, but because we have the time, I can show you what it would look like if we were to work together. And you just drop that. And most likely, right, because you've got 5 minutes of the call, cool. He's not committing to, I'm going to pay you for package A yet. He hasn't said that, but you're now getting a chance to basically sell him again, to sell him on imagining what it's going to be like to be in your business, working with you. And, you know, this is like an old marketing tactic, right? It's why in advertisements for an iPhone, for example, I remember, I think it was like the first iPod ad, right, that was ever made. They didn't just show the iPod and all its cool features. They showed people using the iPod, holding it, listening to music, right? Why did they do that? It's to get you as the viewer to imagine that you already have the product. Because when you can picture it in your mind, you're going to pay more money for it. You're going to buy it faster. So if Sean can imagine, oh, and I'm already set up in Slack, and Harry, we're going to have an onboarding call next week, and you're going to send me the form right after this call so we can get started right away. He's just more emotionally ready to go, fuck it, that's right, bro. Because then he's half in, right? His feet are half in, so it's harder for them to jump back in. So I would try that. I'd try that on some of your calls. Again, you can do it, like I said, there, where it's very chill. You're literally telling them there's no pressure, but I want to give you the opportunity to see what it would actually be like for us to be together.
There you have it. That is what I believe to be the best SMMA training for you based on if you're not at 10K a month right now. For the simple reason that you're getting to see somebody that's not at 10K a month. Harry is in and around 5K a month, but he is scaling his agency quite fast and he's growing in the right direction, and he just needed some extra help with sales. And also because Harry's call was good, like he closed the deal. So a lot of what I was telling him was like, that was really good. You did great in that part. If you would like to know what it's like to work one-on-one with me, where I can literally do that with you, not just for your sales, but for other parts of your business, you can book a call. The link will be in the description of this video. I do have a program, the Figure Accelerator, and then we have a slightly higher level program, which you can inquire about as well. We'd love to chat to you, see if you're a good fit. It's not really a sales call. I know this is me giving you a sales training. And of course, we will sell you and give you the opportunity to join us if we think you're a good fit, but only if we think you're a good fit. If I'm going to be on a call with you, reviewing your sales calls and working with you very closely, like, I want to make sure you're a good fit. Like, I don't want to deal with someone who's just not easy to work with. So yeah, book in a call. We'll speak soon.